Okay, call the meeting to order. Take a roll. Commissioner Rich,
Here.
Commissioner Lee,
Here.
Commissioner Hanson. Here. Commissioner Person here. And absent are Commissioner Neal, Commissioner Butke, and Commissioner Hume. They're on spring break. And also in attendance, Mayor
Wow.
Wow. And Director Knight, Tucker Knight, and Patrick. Yep. Okay, we have a quorum. Do we have any written communications?
You do know.
We do not, okay. Hearing from citizens, I don't see any citizen that is going to talk. I will now call on Jan Fitzgerald from Olivet and Bloom to do a presentation for us. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for the opportunity to talk to you all. You probably know me, I'm the person who runs around Olivet trolling for volunteers. I have a special uniform I wear, but in any case, I've been with Olivet and Bloom since 2007. It started in 2002. And the mission of Olivet and Bloom is, and I will read it, so I'll get it down, is to promote natural beauty and harmony in the community of Olivet by designing, planting, and maintaining garden sites in selected public grounds. And so we were established in 2002. We are a 501c3 not-for-profit organization. We work very closely with the City of Olivet Parks and Recreation. Beverly continues to support us in so many ways I can't begin to tell you. And especially with help from Brian and his crew. It's really a great private-public partnership, which is the goal of all these type of organizations. We started, incorporated or became a 501c3 in 2002. And our first garden was Veterans Garden at Dealman and Olive. There was a fountain there that was funds for which were contributed by a group of veterans from Olivet, and it was a pretty big group, and it was done in the early 60s, and the design was what one would call brutalism. It was big boulders, a few small shrubs that they kept cutting down. It was very nice fountain and pond, which any child could fall right into, and we won't even say what they could do. But in any case, we enhanced it significantly. And then when it was sold to, the adjacent land was sold to Firestone, it would cut back, obviously, but we still hopefully will have a water feature there this spring. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Pat's working hard on that.
And then we expanded to the in front of the old community center. And also the island in the parking lot of Stacy Park before it was renovated as well. So we still work in those three areas, and we've expanded to include the pond at the northwest corner of Stacy Park. And I don't know if you ever get back around there, but it was pretty mangy, overgrown. But the fish didn't know, but fish stayed. But we've really taken a lot of pride in redeveloping that whole area, adding the hillside path, which Brian and his crew have done. Have I said again how much we appreciate Brian? I'll make sure that's on the docket. The way we work is that we have about 40 volunteers, and we set the first Saturday of every month from April through November to work on the gardens. And volunteers can come 1 month or all 8 months. We don't really care, but we swarm in for about 2.5 hours and do our magic. Veterans Garden is probably our showiest one, and we try and make it very colorful. There are some Missouri natives interspersed, but there are a lot of non-natives, but very pretty. And we get a lot of compliments, so that's how it's, but let's see, in terms of, we've also, so we've expanded to the pond, and we also have help out at Old Bonham Schools Gardens, and we've donated some funds to Old Bonham as well as Five Oaks on Warson for new plantings. And in addition to the physical gardens, we are doing more workshops. Early in our life, we did a lot of all sorts of, different workshops, photography, container planting, vegetable planting, and they were very well attended, and that was early, I'd say 2007 to about 2010. And then there was an explosion of other workshops and people weren't coming to ours. But we sort of changed our point of view now, and we had a workshop in November on making porch pots, which are those really nice, beautiful floral arrangements and on people's porches. And again, Brian, our hero, collected all sorts of dried materials for us over a 2-week period or so. And that really helped augment, we bought some artificial stuff, but it was really great. And we had about 25 people. And then we had another presentation in conjunction with Old Bonham School on how to plant a vegetable garden. And it's all very basic stuff. And then we will also be doing another one in May to identify invasive plants in your backyard and what you can do with them. And the speakers, I believe, from the garden. And then we'll take a walk around Five Oaks and show people what we're talking about. Hopefully, Brian will leave a few invasives for us, but if he doesn't,
There's plenty to go around.
yeah, I think
We still have some here.
so. Okay. So in
Come to
terms
my backyard.
in terms of fundraising, we send out a fundraising letter at the end of the year. We raise a little bit more than $3,000, which covers most of our planting. We have a good treasury if we need to do more. And then we have our annual plant sale, Missouri Natives Plant Sale. And this year it's April 27th, it'll be here. We do it really as a service to the community. We don't make a lot of money from it. But last year, actually last 3 years, we sold out within 2 hours. We had 600 plants. Just amazing. So we're increasing it this year. And we're having a workshop before, again, for people who are intimidated by the Missouri natives. They don't know what to do with them. They don't, why are they different from every other plant?
And this
And-
year's is here, correct?
And it's here. And the manager of Missouri Wildflowers, who supplies us with plants, is going to speak that night. So, in the plant world, he's a celebrity. So we're very excited
Yeah,
to have
It's a
him
big
come.
deal.
And that's the 26th, right?
Yeah.
That
the
is
night before.
Friday night, the
Yeah.
26th, yeah. So again, I would have my job, if I didn't say if you'd all like to volunteer, please let me know. So I said that, and I also have some seeds that will attract monarchs. So I can spread it around, as they say. Any questions or anything I can clarify or any ideas?
So one of the things that I would say is from the parks perspective, and as a citizen, we really appreciate what
thank you.
they're
Thank you.
doing, because it adds so much to the community and, it's really helps a lot.
Well, thanks. I think at one of the mayor's, breakfasts,
Compliment, right.
right, when, Carlos was speaking, he asked everybody what they liked about living in Olivet.
Oh, I said, right,
Right,
that was
right.
our intro, right.
Right, and about 80% of the people who were there said they love the parks and Olivet and Bloom.
Right.
Not,
Well, I think you recruited there. I think you. I think you recruited at my coffee with the mayor.
He was leading the witness.
Right, no, but, it's interesting, because, a lot of the people that come to coffee with the mayor are some of your participants.
yeah,
And what happened was, like, I was there one week and I noticed that someone had moved into Olivet and she met 2 or 3 people, and there, by the end of the talk with the mayor, she was already signed up for Olivet and Bloom. So it's, they gotta, they court people very shortly.
yeah, well, gardeners are fun.
Right.
We're just, well,
And when people
down to
drive
earth.
through all of that,
I'm sorry,
I get a lot of comments from people that don't live in all of it,
yeah,
commenting on veterans, well, not Veterans Park, but the flowers along Olive, outside Stacy.
okay,
People ask me, who does the parks department do that? I'm like, nope.
yeah.
That's them, all them.
And Stacy and at the, on Grandview Park,
Yeah,
we have, name tags, states, so people can understand, know what
Yeah.
that is. And that, I see people, looking all the time.
Yeah.
So that, it's a lot of work to make sure they're there and that they're accurate.
Because I will give a report at the next council meeting. So the 501c3 goes back to 2002.
Yeah.
I don't know that I realized that. I
Yeah,
wondered.
for the us old time and residents and all that, it started after the tumult with the tip.
Mhm.
And a group of citizens said, what can we do that's a very positive thing for the community? And that's how it really started. If you don't remember the tip, good
Oh,
for
yeah.
you.
You mean the Walmart that never happened?
Yeah, right.
Before I got here.
Yes.
I'd like to share that from the city's perspective, it's been invaluable to have Olivet and Bloom as a partnership with us.
Absolutely.
Because when we embarked on renovating our parks, and the first thing we tackled was getting rid of honeysuckle, the Olivet and Bloom volunteers were the first ones that answered the call. And they were actually the ones that encouraged me that there would be interest if we started Weed Warriors. So they were the very first ones that came, and we actually now have more non-Olivet and Bloom people participating in Weed Warriors, which is amazing, because I think that, it's really generated even, a different avenue for people to participate. And the other thing is, whenever we ask for advice or input or extra hands, Olivet and Bloom always steps up. When we had to do the value engineering on the landscape here, Olivet and Bloom immediately said, we will help with buying the plants. And then they came and planted them. So I know that Brian is incredibly appreciative of all the help that he gets from Olivet and Bloom, because we have even more beautiful areas now as we clear the honeysuckle, and it requires more work. So it's been wonderful that especially taking over the pond, because that had the potential to be such an amazing area, and without Olivet and Bloom's help, it would not look as good as it does, because it's a big job. Yeah, so thank you.
Well, it goes both ways, I think.
So I have volunteered in the past
Yeah.
when the Stacy at the front part.
Right.
What part is doing now? So when I get ready, have a free Saturday.
It's just off the parking lot. You can't miss it. We have a sign that's
So I still get the email, so if I
Oh,
haven't
yeah.
had free time,
Once you
jump
have
in
your
there for a
name.
minute, yeah.
you're gone.
Yes, I know, I'm here.
Constant contact.
Yes, and they're very friendly to newbies that don't really know what they're doing.
We have a kickoff breakfast, April 13th. This
I
year
got
will
it,
be
yep.
April 13th. And it's a nice way for everybody to get to know each other, and not just the teams that are in each
Mhm.
individual garden. And then we also have a appreciation dinner at the end of the season, which is a nice way to mingle and when you're sort of cleaned up. But, there's always dirt under your feet.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I am not a gardener. I'm good at that cleanup. I'm really good at sweeping. I'm good dealing with Beverly, so I'm getting elected. Anyway, are there any other comments? I will leave you to your meeting.
This is great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jen.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for all you do.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Where'd you get these from?
From a mail order place.
Okay.
Do you need another one?
Yeah, it's from, I think it's Monarch's Milkweed, I think.
Yeah, save
Yeah,
our.
Save on Monarch's
I've got some
Foundation, yeah.
property that I'm trying to get, more milkweed, so.
Oh, okay.
Will they interface well with my bees?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
Of course it will.
absolutely.
Might have Tuesday.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jan. Good
Sure.
to see you.
The queen of the
We'll
bees.
see you soon.
Yes, you will.
Yeah,
Very
bees,
funny,
Maxine?
Oh, yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
Bring some honey to our next
Yeah.
meeting.
Good.
So moving right along.
What? It's really good too.
So moving along, the meeting minutes from the February 21st, 2024 meeting, are there any updates or changes that need to be made to those? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the February 21st meeting. All in favor, say aye. Oh,
So
the
moved.
question.
You need a motion first or? you-
I made the motion. we need a
Okay,
second.
okay,
Motion and second, okay.
Missed it, okay.
Aye.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So approved. Okay, moving along to the, department monthly report.
Patrick's going to take the reins for this one.
Okay,
Yeah, we're trying to switch some things up, so you're not listening to us talk so much, but these are some of the pictures of some of the things we did in the rec division, over the last, month or so since our last meeting. With the first thing on there is our youth baseball league. We closed registration. We're gonna have about 350 overall participants, this year, which is slightly down from last year, just based on some different age groups and teams that we weren't able to, or some grade levels that we weren't able to form full teams for. We'll be having practices and games at Stacy and Warson this year, so our park staff has been working on Warson to kind of get those fields back up to good shape for playing. Obviously, it's nice to have multiple locations so we can reschedule games and move games if we need to. This week.
How many fields do we have at Stacy?
So it depends on if we use some of the smaller fields, which are on the far side, the parking lot. We have potential to have up to 5 fields at Stacy and a couple here
Okay.
in Warson. So, and we also worked with Clayton. We had some 4th grade teams that we weren't gonna have enough competitors for them to play against, so they actually are gonna be playing in the Clayton League, and we'll host some games here as well. So trying to make sure that we keep everybody
That's fourth
who
grade.
registers playing.
So the fourth graders are Clayton.
Yeah, they're gonna play games over in the Clayton League, because they had 13 teams in 4th grade, so, and we had 2. So it gets a little boring playing the same team every week. And for those of you that walked over to the gym, we have our spring break camp going on. It is a Circus Kaput runs our spring break camp, and there is all kinds of aerial equipment and circus. That's paraphernalia.
Unicycles going today? It's
Yeah.
amazing.
They were walking on stilts, and we had a great participation. We had 24 participants who were enrolled in the spring break camp, and that is an all-day camp with before and after care as well. So it's good to see some people taking advantage of the spring break program that we have there. They're gonna be doing a performance on Friday. If anybody's looking for
They're all
something to
welcome
do.
to
What
come.
time is that?
So it's at 2:00.
2 o'clock, yep.
2:00. 2:00. It's in the gymnasium, and you're all welcome to attend. It'd be wonderful if you came.
Yeah, we have chairs and plenty of parents and grandparents that come and watch. They do a full show at the end of camp, so. We're continuing summer camp registration for Camp O, as well as our specialty camps and sport camps. So those are going well. They're doing them online and in person. and over the phone as well. A couple weeks ago, our whole staff, the Parks and Rec staff, got to attend the Missouri Parks and Recreation Conference. We were all able to attend because it was in St. Charles. So everybody got to go to at least a day or two. They're all educational sessions. There is an expo where all the vendors, who kind of serve Parks and Rec. There's also some other, various social events that you can go to. So it's nice we were able to send everybody for at least a day, to go and get some educational sessions and kind of meet with people who do what they do at other municipalities and get some new ideas. So, great thing to do. It's an annual conference. Next year it's going to be in Branson, so won't be able to send everybody to that one. So we're happy that we were able to do it this year with everybody. So,
Including the parks crew, which is really great because they often aren't able to go, so. It's really good.
yep. And,
One thing, I'm stealing the thunder, but Beverly did a presentation on that at the, for a good presentation at
Thank you.
as well.
Yeah, we did a presentation, myself and Angelica Gutierrez from Great Rivers Greenway and Katie Holt, our project manager from Navigate. We gave a presentation on capital projects with partnerships, partnering agencies and grants. So it was, and then we kind of went into how it tied back into the master plan and what we built out of it. And we used Borson Park as a case study because of the Greenway, the community center and the park renovations. And it was the last session of the whole conference, so it was awesome. We had 0 questions. Although afterwards, everybody comes up and asks you personally, no one wants to ask them. So it was great. And Jim snuck in, so thank you, Jim.
Yep, and obviously, thank Beverly for doing that and representing us out there, and she told all of us that we couldn't go. To her. Just if you want it, we'll tell you. But if for those of you that while you were walking in today, the kitchen, we have a Hamantashen cooking class going on in there right now, or wrapping up right now. We've had a ton of cooking classes running in there, which is really good to see some of that stuff getting
And
used.
who's teaching?
What's that?
Who's doing the classes?
This one is Holly Bernstein and Julie Eastland, yes. And tonight is actually a private class. We advertised, we had the public class that people attended. And then this group heard about it, so they asked if they could bring their whole social group in to have a private class.
Temple Emmanuel.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so we're very happy to do
In our
that.
kitchen, that's
Yeah,
great.
and this class, Julie and Holly donated their time, so the fee was low to just cover the ingredients. So that was wonderful.
Nice.
Yeah.
And this is a,
So they're 2
this
hours
is a
residential.
participation rather than a
Yes.
demonstration.
Yes, it's a participation.
We know that.
Exactly. Right. And then we have, I love this picture. So this is Kalisha and her husband. Kalisha works at our front desk and they took our couples in the kitchen class. And I just love this picture. That's with our Chef Maiza, who has a whole series of classes. So it's wonderful.
Yeah, and some of our next classes that we have that will be taking place in the kitchen are decoding cocktails, which is a little less kitchen, cooking or anything like that, but it's making cocktails, which is just as fun, in my opinion. And that's gonna be on March 22nd, so just around the corner. And then we'll also have an Italian cuisine class.
That's
on
like
March-
2 nights away.
Mhm.
Great.
So busy times in there. We've been able to utilize that kitchen a lot more, which is really exciting to see all that happening in there and people taking advantage of that. In addition to all that fun stuff, we're also hosting a fitness expo. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's basically all of our trainers, instructors, and are gonna come in here and basically people can come in, members can come in, any guest can come in and basically check out the facility, meet the instructors, meet the personal trainers, and kind of walk around and kind of get used to the machines. It'll be on March 30th from we have the time on here. I want to say 12.
So we'll get to.
12 to 2, yeah.
Yeah. You have the flyer in your packet. And there's yard signs around town.
Mhm. I didn't know that yard signs was as big of a deal here as it is.
Oh, it's a huge deal.
Huge deal.
I'm like, we have to make yard signs for this? And she's like, yes, for
Yeah.
everything. If you want people to be there, yard signs have to be out. So I'm still learning that stuff. Moving on to our Parks Division updates, our park staff has been really hard at work getting together everything for the Holy Festival, which takes place this weekend. There's been a lot more planning and involvement from everything from parks to police to fire, and everybody being involved with planning of this to make sure that it's successful.
Do you have a sense of the crowd?
Yes. So last year we had over 2,000, probably closer to 3,000. So this year we're hoping it levels off at about 3,000.
If I said park at my house and we'll walk.
Yeah, we will, yeah, something like that.
So with that being such a big event, that's the reason they're out there planning, starting pretty much today. They've been, getting all their supplies together and ready to deploy over at Stacy so that we can make this success. Looks like the weather's gonna be good, so parking will be on Stacy Field, and we'll have kind of police dictating where traffic goes to make.
Do we have use of bear? I know
We have use of bear as a backup if it rains between now and then and the field's too soggy. Our preference from police and everyone is to only use
One area.
Stacy and not have two separate. But we are going to use 2666, which is up on the corner of Old Bonham and Olive, that empty lot there that's owned by the tower. They're allowing us to use that as overflow. But we'll have a lot of signs up in there to keep people out of the apartments. Not parking in the apartments. Pardon me?
Where the office tower is?
A diagonal, the
Catty
office
corner,
tower,
too.
yeah, it's catty corner. The
Oh,
office tower.
Panorama behind.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
they own that extra parking area?
yes, yes, so they gave us permission for that, and then we're doing all of our no parking signs everywhere. So we do think that, this year, because the forecast, so I need to touch something wood, we think it'll be a lot easier. Last year, we were just overwhelmed. No one anticipated the crowd would be that big. So this year, we're planning for a much larger crowd.
Well, it's spring break, right? So some people won't. be
Yes, so
back.
some people will be away, because
Yeah.
the holy calendar moves, with the moon phases, like lunar new
We could
year.
relate.
Yeah, absolutely, or anything else. So, next year it's really early. Next year it's the beginning of March, so we'll think, it's always weather driven.
Yeah.
Our parks crew has also been starting their spring task. Some days it feels like it's the right time to do it, and sometimes it feels like it's still winter. So they're kind of, depend on what day, but they're working on our ball fields. Basically, we're working on the infield dirt to get those ready for our upcoming baseball and softball season. And that requires bringing in some infield dirt, kind of level those areas out, some dirt that's kind of been kicked out onto the grass, and just try to level those fields out for baseball. But they also drag those fields every day to keep them level, because the fields aren't level, and that first rain just pulls them up, and it's really hard to dry at that point, so. They are also working on the restrooms and cleaning, repairing anything that might have broken over the off season to get the bathrooms ready for April 15th to open at all of our parks. And that's quite a big undertaking, a lot of, things that they have to address on those before we can open them to the public. We've also had a lot of success this year with Weed Warriors. They have gotten rid of 100% of the honeysuckle at Earthside, which is
Big deal, big
a
deal.
lot.
That's our first 100%
And it looks
eradication.
great.
Yeah.
It looks really good.
Yeah, it is transformed that area for sure. It looks.
Is there a plan to put up a big
It's
sign?
fantastic.
Good.
Not too big.
Yeah.
Well,
But yes. we'll put
One.
it aside. Yeah,
and said you could do this at home as well.
Yes. yes.
Yeah, they had almost 40 cubic yards of wood chips from their last, that's a ton of wood chips for those of you that need to quantify that.
And by the way,
That's a lot.
someone saw me walking last week, two people that don't live in Olivet, and they commented on how great that park looks.
Oh, good.
They have been, they saw me, they said, oh, I saw you walking. We were driving by that
Yeah.
park and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
And Sue was an incredible help out there because walking in her side, she engaged in conversation with some park users and we found out that one of the new connectors in that spider web had come undone. So our park staff was able to go out, they repaired it. It's all good. And now we're gonna have the vendor come out and double check all of them. But that was amazing.
do
'Cause
we
I
know
don't know.
why it happened?
Probably freeze and thaw.
Interesting.
Yeah, just kind of a compression fitting.
And by the way, the people were not from Olivet, if anyone's curious. It was someone from Creve Coeur and someone from U City, and they met
Oh, that's
at our
great.
park because they love our parks.
That's awesome. Awesome. Thank you.
I couldn't help it. The kids were having so much fun playing on that whirly thing, whatever you call
We'll call it that.
it.
I love that thing. I've been on it. It's really.
So despite all of that, our park staff's still gonna go out there and make sure that we don't, get anything coming back or other invasive species and kind of keep up with those because it's easier to do it while it's small than it is to, attack it as it goes full blown again. So we have also had some groups with planting shade. We'll be planting some trees and shrubs later this year. They're all from Ladue High School.
They are.
And they'll be starting in April, yeah.
So we talked about that at our last meeting. So this is a phenomenal group from Ladue High School that we're co-sponsoring our movie in the park with them this year, and they're gonna use it as a little bit of fundraiser to help fund the trees they're putting in our parks. So
There was
they're
an article recently on them, either in the Post or the Jewish Light,
probably the Jewish.
on that organization. And it's
Yeah.
a really interesting history of
Yeah,
that.
it's an interesting history and they're wonderful, wonderful students. They're amazing and they have a great succession plan. The seniors that are leading it this year, they already have their juniors lined up to take over for them. So they've been a pleasure to work with and very professional. So we're
Yeah, it was funny. I saw the article and like the next day I saw your little thing and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's the same.
I think, I don't know if I shared with you, but the first time they called me and said they had this organization and they wanted to work with us in planting trees in the parks. I really thought the person I was talking to had already graduated from college and was doing this as a volunteer.
Oh, yeah, they're,
And then when we
They're
met, and he
serious.
said he had classes, and I said, oh, well, where are you going to school? And he said, Ladue, and because I thought he was at WashU or, something like that. They're amazing, amazing, students.
Much like Olivet and Bloom, we couldn't do all of this
Oh, yeah.
without the volunteers that we've had out there. I mean, it's been incredible. A lot of great participation at Weed Warriors. Obviously helping with Olivet and Bloom and also people just going out, helping Brian when he needs it. It's been a big help to us to make
Jim.
get these things done. And Jim, yeah. And obviously, we'd love to have anybody that has some free time to come and help with those events. As they come up, because they make a big difference. Maybe not all one day, but over time, those things really do matter and, affect the aesthetics of our parks. So, for those of you who walked in, I know some of you said, the Eagle Scout project, the little free library is right out here. If you go out, you kind of walk by the handicap spots, you'll see the little free, library. We have
looks great.
it was already put in there and stocked, and we kind of were going back and forth on where we're gonna put it, we kind of
You
settled
could
on
use
that.
some more books. Look at the book.
I saw that. Yeah, I should have had them in my car, man.
Yeah, feel free to drop them off.
Yeah. Free books, all the free libraries, so we love it.
So some of our upcoming events, that we've, kind of talked about a few of them already, but, these are kind of next ones all the way to the beginning of May. All these are unique opportunities. We'll kind of talk about that for you guys if you, would love to have some help or some people there to visit these events and see what we can do better, what the community is saying, and we get a lot of that stuff from you guys. If you want to know, or you want people to know, follow us on social media. That's where we post about these events in advance, and that's also where we kind of market and promote them as well. So good places to go. Those have QR codes on them so people can scan them. We'll have them around our facility here too, to try to get people to keep following us. So
You do more on Facebook or Instagram, or what's your main?
So we have more followers on Instagram, and Instagram just tends to be a little more popular than Facebook. Facebook, I think, we can all probably
It's got the
agree.
Well, our Facebook's brand new too.
It is,
Yeah,
and
the city
it's also
has-
been a lot older. It tends to have a lot older users on Facebook now and a lot more, not as many growing followers as we do on Instagram. I think that people, like the creativity and just the small burst and
Mhm.
feeds on Instagram, so it's a little more
So are there-
targeted.
Are there two Instagrams?
No, we have ours.
Just the one?
Just the
Okay.
one, and then our Facebook is new that we started when we opened.
Right, okay.
the-
5 Oaks.
Right,
It's the 5 Oaks page.
well, no, Five Oaks has a location
Okay,
place, and then we have all that Parks and Rec has a Facebook feed.
okay.
So we try and keep the postings different from the two areas, but there is cross, and then we tie in with the city one as well. But none of us are masters at social media, so we really, we're making a concerted effort to learn about it and figure out best practices.
These are some of the flyers that you'll see up around the city promoting our special events, the Fitness Expo, Movie in the Parks, Star Parties, which will be starting up later this week, and Utility Assistance Program, which we are bringing back this year, which can help people qualify up for energy assistance with the utility bills.
Is that fitness though gonna be a quarterly thing or?
We do it once a year, when people sign up, and so I believe once you're in it, it's easy to renew it, but we get a lot of people that are getting it for the first time. And last time, I think we had 28 people, and of the 28, I think 24 qualified. So, and they were all the residents, so it's wonderful.
In addition to those events, there's some other flyers, mainly, that kind of go with the outdoor stuff, with Olivet and Bloom and the other groups that we're working with to kind of beautify Olivet this spring.
The tree giveaway, is a really great cooperative effort among a bunch of organizations. To group Olivet sustainability advocates, as well as Olivet and Bloom. And you can get a tree. I mean, they're dry root and they're small, but
It's still a tree.
still a tree, and you can begin to.
Yeah.
to do things.
They'll have information on how to plant the tree as well, and then we'll also have, the city will have right-of-way information of how to make sure when you put it in your property that you're not putting it where it's gonna hit power lines or be on your neighbor's property or in where the street comes through. But Olivet Sustainability Advocates is going to come to next month's meeting to give you an overview of who they are too. So since we're doing these partnerships, we thought it would be a really good idea for you to hear from these groups and hear who they are and meet them, because they're all residents of Olivet.
Who's the target audience for the utility assistance?
It's purely income-based. It's not age or seniors or anything, it's purely income-based. And they handle all of it. We don't know who it is. The professionals come in and they manage the whole process, because we really want to.
So how do we get that word out?
We are pushing out through our channels, and we did signs last time, and we'll do them again.
Are there any adult sports programs like adult softball or?
Yeah, so we have some that are coming back this summer. But adult softball has been something that we've struggled to run here, as well as other cities. From the previous city I came from, it's really tough to get people on multiple nights or any nights. And with us only having, the ability to do it before the sun goes down, that also kind of limits us. We can't run till 11 o'clock like these other leagues. So I think we aren't really a destination for adult softball. But we're gonna try and do some co-ed stuff. We have adult basketball going on here with the ARC, which is across the street. And we're trying to roll out some more adult programs with some partnership involved with that, because sometimes why I love the idea of doing some of them, finding officials and all that does become a little cumbersome for us, and we want to make sure that we're doing it in a way that we can put it in the spot where it can grow too. But pickleball is certainly one of the big adult programs that we've been running and doing a lot of with pickleball out there. We also have drop-in adult basketball times and, the ability to do more of that.
But does the softball have to be that structured? You have the referees, and how can it be more of a?
Well, there's a liability potential
Oh,
with softball, so it is good to have someone out there. Co-ed's a little easier, but tempers do run hot. Even
Yeah.
in adult sports, it's, and right now, it's a nationwide crisis with sports officials. So it is a struggle to find sports officials, and who can blame them, because they're treated very poorly. but we've had good luck with ASA umpires in the past. We hope with co-ed we'll be able to do that again. The pickleball, because it is so successful here, what we've been doing is augmenting it. So we have those mixers that we do now that on Friday nights, we get a lot of participation in that. And then I do think that they're looking at women's basketball as one of the things. So the staff has been brainstorming as we get settled in here, what we have gaps in our programming. We have gaps with teens, we have gaps with adult sports, and we have gaps with seniors. And we have Oasis here, but like, as we looked at the budget and looking at next year, trying to figure out where can we augment different things? So next month, when we bring in the capital improvement plan, we'll also bring in some of the new programs we're targeting for next year. So you can all weigh in on it and hear what we're doing.
You were talking about the older folks and so forth. Are we hitting the mid-range, the 25s to?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
I mean, I know Puzzle
Yeah.
Palooza and some of
Yeah,
those.
Puzzlepalooza has been a remarkable success of younger age group. We really thought it was gonna be families, but it's really been young adults and I'd say people up into their fifties and sixties. So it's been a really interesting mix and it's been very successful. So we're gonna keep doing them. Probably do at least 4 a year now. And it's been remarkable and we'll probably raise the fee a little bit next year. We see what other cities are doing with it and they're doing full food and beer and wine and everything. And we don't want to go down that road, but we do let people keep the puzzle and we'll probably be augmenting with some other things. Because the people that come are giving us suggestions. So the staff's really listening to them. And they're gonna, a participant suggested we charge more. Could have been the mayor.
I heard another participant suggest
Yes,
that.
and then we've
I
had,
wasn't the only one.
yeah, and we've had participants say, hey, why don't you have it be a puzzle swap too? So people bring their puzzles they've been working on at home and they can swap with other people. So these are all great suggestions and we'll be implementing them.
In different times,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
okay.
Oh, yeah, look at this. So, as a surprise for us,
So,
yes,
which, so are you moving on?
item 8, am I in the
No,
wrong?
we
on
we left out Maxine.
Oh my gosh, I'm
Okay,
so sorry.
are there any other,
I'm so sorry.
are there any other questions? with
Yeah,
Patrick?
me.
Are there any other questions of Patrick? Not, city council report.
I'll make it brief. Things are good. I'm sure everyone's noticed, I hope you've noticed those new electronic speed signs that they keep moving around Olivet. The hope is to get a couple more. We got those on a grant. And they're much better than that big cart that used to take up part of the sidewalk and everything. We also, we're beginning the budget planning process for 2025. And, just things, a lot of things are coming to fruition. We've got, like, you can see all the programming that's going on. A lot of building you see going on also, between residential and, businesses. And, my next copy at the mayor, the last couple have been here. And I believe, did they just talk to you about doing the next one here?
Not yet, but we can probably at department head tomorrow.
Okay, so people are finding it more intimate here, and so we're looking at doing that. And continuing with that, and we are, my next guest is gonna be Carlos Trejo, but with Rod Patterson to talk about the economic development. So if, people think when they think of Carlos, they think of planning and zoning and design. They don't always think of economic development. So the EDC, the Economic Development Commission, Rod Patterson is the chair. And so he's gonna come and the two of them are gonna talk with us. Last week we had, Bruce McGregor and we talked about the Centennial Greenway and it was very well attended and it worked out really well. You did a great job.
The attendance seems higher here.
Well, I think there's a couple things. I think that they tend to be a little higher because some people, it's more walkable and people come like through. I think that's part of it,
Yeah,
is the
well, that's
connectivity.
wonderful. Yeah,
And, so the attendance has gone up a little bit.
yeah, that's wonderful.
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Maxine? Okay, moving along to the
Oh, yes,
award.
our major award. So we did not know that our landscape architect, DTLS, had submitted Villa Park for an award with the American Society of Landscape Architects, the St. Louis chapter, and it won. So Villa Park was awarded merit award, which at first I was like, is that a runner-up? But no, it's actually, it's the award, it's the big award. They have several different categories that you have, there's a little memo in here, that gives you a little bit more information if you want it, but it was just wonderful. It was fabulous. So
I love the
congratulations to all
area.
of you. Yeah. Because you all helped plan that one, so it's a award for all of you.
Sometimes I walk that park with the dogs and I don't think I realized that was a circle.
Yeah, it's cool, huh? And we have.
Makes sense, but I never.
Yeah, we have two benches that have been donated, that are going in at Villa in the next month, and, so that'll be exciting too, because whenever we put newly donated benches in, we suddenly get more people that see them and want to donate benches, so hopefully that'll generate some more. Yeah, and then we have another one coming in Stacy, and then another one's fundraising right now in honor of, Hank Davenport. Okay, that's all I have.
We wanted to also talk about I talked about it briefly earlier, about some engagement opportunities for you guys as commission members. We had three big ones that we kind of marked in red up here, one being the Holy Festival this weekend. Don't necessarily, we have plenty of people, they're gonna be at, working these events and making sure that everything taken care of there, but it's a great way for you guys to attend, communicate with people who are attending the event, and kind of give us any feedback that we might not get on our own while we're running around, dealing with the actual event. So the next one is Movie in the Park on April 6th, and Party in the Park on May 4th. So we've got nice and spread out. So we've got one in March, one in April, one in May. Then we also have some additional ones that well attended. We encourage you to engage with the residents of those. The spring walks and Tremendous in April 11th, and then the plant workshop and sale. Hopefully it lasts a little longer than 2 hours.
Yeah, last year they sold out in 48 minutes.
Yeah,
So that's why they're ordering more this year.
Well, when she said 2 hours, I thought, because I got up there right around the hour mark and I was like,
Yeah.
What do you
that's
mean
pretty
you're
cleaned
sold
out. It was pretty cleaned out.
Almost like finishing the
hey,
project.
Patrick,
Yeah.
They finish
They
it.
charged just $1 over wholesale.
you don't
so
have
it
the
is a
Lawrence
really good deal.
movie on here? Is there a reason?
We do, it's the movie in the park. Oh, no, that's the
You have the
wrong.
wrong date.
Oh, movie in the
No,
park, April
it's-
6th.
That doesn't line up with the.
It was the flyer. Oh,
Oh, it doesn't line up with the
the minutes
minutes?
or the flyer?
No,
On the minutes,
yeah.
you don't
It's
have
got-
it.
It's got walks it's got Party in the Park and then park walks, not the movie.
The
Oh,
movie's
it
not in
sure
there.
does.
So,
Well, we will add that to the minutes. Yeah, for sure. And then Jim, I think you wanted to talk about the spring
Yeah,
walk.
yes, well, and one other thing that as far as potential for commissioners, the gallery openings are really quite interesting, in terms of people and so forth. And just meeting folks and being present. So I would encourage anyone that can possibly be here for those. I realize that a lot of them are on Friday nights and that creates some issues. But I think, can come in, and if you look at the art, it's amazing in terms of what's going on. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about, briefly, because as we're beginning to move off of Prop C and getting we've been focusing probably for the last 3 years on Prop C. That I believe we need to begin to look at other goals, and a lot of the goals have been driven around that. And what we can begin to do, what we would like to see, what we're hearing citizens say, with the parks. And so with that, next month, we're going to, spend an extended period of time talking about goals. And one of the things in your packet, you have goals, you have the work plan for last year. And I think that can guide us as we're moving forward. But I think also, as we want to begin to innovate and do different things, what is it that you're seeing that we can do? I mean, obviously within staffing and financial stuff. But what are we doing that we can do? Because it's really interesting as I started looking at goals for here, I said, okay, I'll just look at all the other parks commissions around the area. And we're virtually the only ones that have goals, have published goals.
Interesting.
And so I think we can take
Work plan.
our,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
work-
annual work plan. We're the only
Annual
ones.
work plan goals. And so I think if we can begin to sort of not pivot, but move off of that to say, we can do other things. And how can we begin to work on goals? And so I would ask folks for the next month, be thinking about what is it that we can do? What are those stretch goals? We probably, 5 years ago, nobody would ever have dreamed that we would have all the parks and we would have a community center here. And that's how these things happen. And so one of the things with the city comprehensive plan is they've moved off of brick and mortar to more environment in terms of neighborhoods. And how can we contribute to that as well? So we can bring that piece into it. So I would say, please be thinking about it. I realize that everyone's got life and it gets in the way sometimes, but begin to think about what is it that you would wish, and then also talk to people and see what. So that would be one of the things that I would see, and where we can volunteer to do things. The other piece of it, one of the things that was really interesting to me was as I was looking at what we are, let's see, the cover.
You did, yeah, this is the duty.
Yeah, what I looked at the ordinance. I hadn't looked at the ordinance in a long time in terms of what we do. And it's kind of weird in terms of what we do, because we're not the city council and we're not staff. And so we're advisory to staff and advisory to city council and cheerleaders. And that's one of the things that for the parks, not only in the parks, at park events, to the city council saying, okay, folks, here's what you need to do. And with the budget process, we have some ability to begin to direct goals as far as, and particularly in the capital area. And so another thing that I would ask folks to do is to look at for the next month, what are things that we could, I hate to say it, but spend money on, are, develop programs or do things that enhance what we have.
And the timing's right because we're starting the budget process.
Right, yeah, that's why.
And that's why I'd like to
Goes hand in
dovetail with that,
Mhm.
so that we're not operating in a vacuum. Because I mean, we could do this in September, but it really wouldn't be very meaningful. So we can impact it at this point, but we have to. We have to formulate it, and we have to then make our voices heard.
Mhm.
And so if we can begin to do that, and I don't, if this.
Everybody has that.
Okay, yes,
Yeah.
this is kind of what we do. And essentially it was set up, let's see, I don't remember when the commission was created. It's probably been around for a long time, but if you look down at section 125.040, it's what we do in terms of engage as advocates. That's showing up, talking to city council, working with folks. We receive reports, and, quite frankly, we receive reports quite a bit. So I think we need to engage, and then the volunteer, I mean, we've got the Holy Festival going on. There's lots of opportunities for us to do that. Am I, I'm sorry.
No, it's the, but they had advanced by itself, sorry.
It's the fourth part of the page.
Yeah, section 125.0. We have it up on the screen. there.
Okay, that's what,
Yeah.
okay,
But
that's what I,
if you're taking notes, highlight that, take a look at it, figure out where you can fit in. Again, some people have more time than others for this, but, we can show up with a walk in the parks. I mean, Bill, you were talking about your dogs. If you see folks, can chat with folks. It's really interesting as I walk through the parks. I mean, a lot of people, I mean, you get the people that look down away from you when you walk by them. But if you say hi, they'll do that. It becomes more comfortable over time. And the other thing about being in the parks is, it's kind of like the thing at Herbside. You see a problem, call Beverly or call Patrick and
Yes.
let them know. I mean, if you see a limb down or somebody's complaining.
Yeah, we want to hear it.
And-
Good, bad, and the ugly. Yeah.
And I think the other thing too is, I mean, we don't like to think that it happens, but if you see a trash can that's overflowing, call them.
Yes, absolutely.
And that kind of thing. So that's what I see that we can do. And we can also influence program by some of these suggestions and goals.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
And we have a good opportunity coming up because we will be looking at the Parks Master Plan, doing its mid-plan check-in too. So we'll validate some of those vision goals that we have out there and ask people, how do they like what we've done so far? And that'll be kind of validate that as we build future projects, because we still have a lot to do, we still aren't done.
and that evaluation will probably occur late summer, fall.
Yes, that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah.
So when we get into the capital, so Pat and I have done our preliminary operating budget for recreation. We're working on parks right now. We have 2 separate budgets, and then we do capital. And then we've had our first meetings with the finance director, and then as we get it more developed, then we can bring it to you in April to get your feedback on it. So we're looking at, for example, with the council's DEI mission, we have a very successful Holy Festival, but we have other segments of our population. So we'll be looking, the staff has been brainstorming different activities to bring forward in the new year. One of them is a Lunar New Year celebration, and identifying partners that we can do it with, because with everything, we need to partner. We can't do everything on our own. So
Right.
partnering is fantastic.
we're in a
but-
vacuum, because if you partner,
Right.
then that part of the community that they want to join in and
Exactly.
help plan it and be part of the celebration.
Absolutely.
And a good example of that is this art exhibit.
I wouldn't say Field of Dreams.
It
No, I'm
really brought in the Ethiopian community,
kidding. Mhm.
and they really go down to Rebel Cup, that's part of that. But, so there's a lot of things that I think that we can do.
Our next art gallery opening is April 5th, and it's Marty Coulter. It'll be oil painting. It's here. We do the openings on Friday nights because that's first Friday in the St. Louis community when all the galleries have their shows. So it's kind of that nice synergy in there. We don't always do it like the 1 week, the last 2 artists, we had to do it on Saturday. They didn't have time to hang on Friday because they both are teachers. So, but this next one will be on Friday. Probably won't be as well attended. Marty lives a little further out, but he is the artist that has the rendering of the saints. So that's how we found him. So he's coming in to do his oil painting, and they're beautiful. So it's a low key show, but he's going to do an artist talk that
Oh,
night.
the same jeweler rink that was here.
Yeah, so that
Okay.
picture down
Right,
there, that
right, right.
painting, that was
Okay.
when he
Some-
worked professionally,
Right.
that was his company. But now he does beautiful plein air oil painting, and then he also does live painting of weddings, which is kind of fun. Yeah.
I've done a lot of talking. What questions, comments, do folks have in terms of what we can be doing or, where we need to be looking at? Anything? So if not, but
And I know we had talked briefly, like just in passing about like, if like, say, 1 month, everyone on the commission were to say, I'm gonna take on a certain park and just say, I'm gonna make sure I get there once a week during the next month between meetings to visit with people or, and get people's feedback and talk about things and, like how Sue found that, piece of equipment, but just walk through the park and hear what people have to say. I think some of that anecdotal information is very helpful.
And one of the things we shared in one of the reports is that the feedback we get from people that volunteer in the parks is that they are always surprised at how many, I think because when you're working in a park, people feel more comfortable talking with you. So like, for example, when we do trail work with volunteers or with staff, people always stop and talk. So it's a great way, you could be doing a very low-key activity, but for some reason, people think it's safe to approach you and talk to you. So that's a wonderful way to engage as well, too. So if you ever want to join the crew or come to one of the volunteers in Olivet and Bloom, that's one of the things they talk about too, is that people always come by and talk to them. So that's a great way to engage.
and while we do have specific events like Weed Warriors, Olivet and Bloom, there are opportunities that you can do things. I haven't done it much in the last year, but I did some work at the pond. And you get people coming over and talking and doing things and so forth. So that's another good thing. Okay, as we move along, Green City Challenge.
Right. So the Green Cities Challenge, we heard from Jean Podsey last month. And just to reiterate a little bit, the Green Cities Challenge is something that we've been looking at because of the resident engagement we had through the Parks Master Plan and then through the comprehensive plan that was just adopted. The residents of Olivet, you see it through the creation of Olivet's sustainability advocates. You saw it through our goals of our master plan and through the comprehensive plan. People really want to have a more active engagement in how the city operates and in how people are caring for our natural environment and building sustainable practices to take us into the next generation. So we've known about the Green Cities Challenge for quite some time. It's having its 15th anniversary this year. And now that this building is complete and we're moving on to the master plan, the staff now have time to take it on. So it's been a vision goal for us a long time, and now this year we're able to do it. And so we're doing it as a department, not as a city, because when the city takes it on, it's much more involved and it's much easier for us to do it in a small way, and then it can scale up to the larger city. And Jim went to the kickoff, and then I attended the training they had, the orientation they had for cities, and they have different levels of people in the challenge. So businesses that are doing their challenge for the first time are the ones that came in with the cities. And it was fascinating because one of the things they gave us, which you have in your packet, is the menu for what we have to do. And in going through the menu, we already have achieved many of them. So it's going to be, makes it a much easier process for us because a lot of these practices we already do, and it'll be really nice for us to formalize them, and then it'll make it much easier for us to achieve our targets. The first task that they assigned us is to create a green team. And some places actually name their green team a fun name. They gave some examples of that, but primarily the green team, sorry, another page for green teams. Oh, no, go back. Okay. So primarily for the green team, it's a group that meets regularly during the initial months of the challenge and do a lot of legwork. And they recommend for cities, they recommend that you have staff members on it, community members, and appointed officials. So the Parks and Rec Commission is a natural fit for that. I'd love to have someone from the Parks Commission. But also, I would love for the Parks Commission to sort of help us identify individuals or representatives from or local groups where we ask for a representative to serve on this, because I do think it's important that we have community buy-in. We did hear that some cities do it 100% staff driven. Wentzville does it with only staff. But I think in all of that, our practice is that we engage the community and we want our residents to be part of it. So I wanted to bring it back to the commission for you to think about who you think would be appropriate to ask to serve on this. They recommend we have a minimum of 3 people, maximum of 7. They said between 5 and 7 is sort of that sweet number, because otherwise it's too hard for everybody to get together and meet and find a time that works for everybody. It is frequent meetings in the initial first 3 months. We'll meet very regularly as we check through all the things on the list. And then after that, then it's just a periodic check-in to see how things are going and do evaluations. So I don't want a decision tonight, but that's something definitely that we could have a discussion about tonight, or could come back in April with recommendations if you want to take it home and think about it, who you might recommend.
Can you define lots of meetings?
Well, I'm thinking that in the beginning, you'll have to meet every 2 weeks.
Okay, that's not lots of meetings, but okay.
Ideally, I'd like weekly, so
Okay.
what I envision is will be like a tier for my core staff inside. I think we'll probably have to meet weekly because there's a lot of policy that have to be written. But getting the volunteers engaged, if people want to meet weekly, we can absolutely do it. We do have someone on staff who's quite well educated and worked in a long time in sustainability. So that's TJ Beasley. So probably she'll be taking a lot of the leads on it because she worked for Leave No Trace. And then when she worked at Duke University, she was in charge of a lot of their sustainability issues and initiatives. So that is amazing for us because that really helps us. And then we have all of the sustainability advocates. I think they're a natural group for us to talk to, but there's also people that are very passionate in our community and you may know them. So I'd love to get the commission's insight into who you think, friends and neighbors that you think might be of interest.
Can I give you a name right now?
Sure,
Gerald Axelbaum.
Gerald Axelbaum, that would be a great name.
That's his passion.
It absolutely is.
It's right up his alley if he's willing to do it.
Yeah.
And are you looking at these to necessarily be in-person meetings, or would they be?
Probably,
Zoom?
I think we could probably do both. I mean, it wouldn't be bad to have an in-person meeting every
Oh,
2
sure,
weeks,
yeah.
and then on alternate weeks, we could do Zoom. And they could be during the workday, or they could be in the evening. It really is up to you.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, go
yeah.
for you,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was hoping you were gonna do that.
I thought that's what you were doing.
Yes.
Do you guys have any, there's a lot of information here. I brought a lot of information back from, and you heard last week's presentation, so you have the brochure in here on it, and then you also have the menu of the things that we'll be working on. I put a clean copy in here. My copy, I actually went through and checked all the things we already do, which is fantastic. But if you have, after you read through it, if you have any questions, let me know. I'd be more than happy to talk to you more in depth about it.
Yeah, and I think this dovetails in with the goals as well.
It does,
So that we
yeah.
can talk about it, because so often we come to these meetings and we get this information and we kind of go, oh. And so take a look at it. Let's talk about it next time
Absolutely.
and try to figure out how we want to encourage the community to plug into it, but also how we as commissioners
Mhm.
plug into it as
Yeah,
well.
absolutely.
Okay,
Thank you.
other questions? Okay, Centennial Greenway.
So you've been through, Indian Meadows and seen the progress on the Greenway. There's the great weather, good fortune to just get a lot done and really started moving on behind the neighborhoods of the retaining wall. That has been repaired or replaced, with the new retaining wall, and they are moving extremely quick and, work really efficiently. The picture on the far right is behind the houses, correct?
So the picture on the far right is Borson
No,
Park.
yes.
So on the left of that picture is the industrial park. On the right of the picture is the industrial park. On the left are the homes along Kiowa. Where Kiowa and Huron merge together, that's that stretch of homes. So the tractor down there that you see in the far end is almost to where you turn right and come up to Five Oaks. And then this retaining wall here, this is Napoleon at Dealman. And what a what a gift that the Greenway is giving us, because the old retaining wall, as you all know, is an eyesore and is falling down, so this is a huge improvement. And then over here, this is the retaining wall along the River de Pear. So on the right of the picture, on the very left, is the River de Pear, and then the industrial park that's north of Indian Meadows. And then to the left are the homes along Huron. So they're putting that in there so that when the pathway comes through, the stream bank is stabilized. And it won't, we don't want the trail to fall into the River de Pear.
Really good.
This is essentially looking from the pavilion area at.
This one is a little bit west of the pavilion, okay? And this fencing up here, that's the temporary fencing that separates the homes from the greenway. You can see quite a bit of honeysuckle here. So this is moving towards Warson. Then this is Dealman right here. You can see that. And then over here, you can barely make out, this is one of the buildings in the industrial park. And this is the temporary fencing along here. This is temporary fencing, keeping people out of there, but their fences are not being replaced because this is a much wider area, going up Warson.
Thank you for that.
I know, it's really hard.
I'm still discombobulated
And
on
it's-
where everything is.
You know, I'm so familiar with these areas, but when you walk out there in the construction, it's so wide open now. It really makes you realize how much the honeysuckle had encroached. So this corridor between Indian Meadows and Warson Park used to be heavily traveled by kids, and they would come this way to go to Saints. And over the years, the honeysuckle just filled it all in and it just disappeared. So there are some homeowners along there, like Susie Norman lives just down over there, and she remembers when it was clear and when her kids went through. So she's so excited. So she calls us, it's very nice to say. She can't wait till she can walk out her back door and come straight to the highway.
How much longer?
Well, their timeframe is December. They have to be completed by December, but they are really moving fast.
Because of the good weather, I think
Because
that's
of
a
the good
little
weather,
better.
yeah.
So let's not jinx it.
Yeah, so don't wanna jinx it. So, if cautiously optimistic, maybe they'd be done at the end of summer. I don't know, because they're going faster than any of us anticipated. But they do have to, there are certain things they have to do, and then when the concrete comes through, there's different phases where they look like nothing's going on. Like right now, they're removing a lot of debris, so it seems like they're not working. So, but yeah, they have not had the material delays that we had because we're pretty much out of that COVID delay. Like the benches that got donated, they came just in a couple weeks, when before we were waiting 6 to 9 months for them. So things are so cautiously optimistic.
Can I
It's
add
very
something?
exciting.
I saw something this evening, before I came to the meeting, that Eastway Gateway,
Yes.
that you can go to their website and you can weigh in and give comments, but the part that starts across the street,
Mhm.
this way,
Yes.
across the street this way, where the trail stops, there's a couple different versions of possibilities of routes it can go. And, I think it's like a month where people can weigh in and put their opinions in.
Right. So
So-
doing the same process
It's
they
the
did
same,
here.
that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying, it's the same process we went through. But, even though it's not all of that, you still may want to weigh in if you're a cyclist or a walker and you're looking for that connectivity.
Yeah, they want to hear from everybody.
Thank you for grabbing those, by the way. They were
Oh, okay. So for those watching the film, just saw us have snacks by this amazing cooking class.
So, yeah, I will say, it was amazing because last summer, I walked where you see this path through there. I walked and I was going over logs and honeysuckle. I mean, you couldn't get through there. And Keisha, in answer to your question, at breakfast with the mayor, Bruce McGregor, and he's not usually an optimist when it comes to schedules. He actually was cautiously optimistic that it would be done. It was moving along so well that they seemed far ahead of schedule.
As long as we don't get that end of March.
He's still he carefully couched.
Well, they hit.
Yeah. It was a definite maybe.
Then that.
They did something
Okay,
there.
thank you. Okay,
No jinxing. I know.
okay, Five Oaks monthly update.
Yep, so, we met, or Beverly had met with Jim about possibly changing this up a little bit. So what we're gonna do for future meetings, especially in April, is, work with our software provider to actually run some of the different metrics that we want to quantify. Unfortunately now, those, like, I've tried different ways to run some of these reports and they just,
They're not
Or-
giving you what's.
yeah, they aren't giving me the answers and the
They
things that
don't
I
look
want.
pretty.
But there is capability there, but that's something that Perfect Mind or Explore Technologies, who runs our software, that they have to build for us. And then we have to populate that with information a little bit over time. So, that's why it kind of looks similar to what it has the last couple of months. It also, for our sake, it does help us kind of paint a picture of how much growth we have each month. So we see some value in it on our end, but obviously we want to give you guys the information that you would like to see as well. So, we had 68 additional memberships that were sold. So we're getting a couple new members almost every day, about each month. Sometimes more, sometimes less, but that's pretty much our average. And we've seen a lot of growth in a couple specific areas with the resident household. We've seen some growth. We've also seen some adult resident and both resident and non-resident growth as well. So we're trying to keep that growing. Also try to keep working with the companies that are in Olivet and around Olivet. We have talked to Crown Building Supply. They were interested in doing some kind of a group, bringing, everybody in their office in here. So kind of still in progress, but some that we're trying to do to get some more corporate type members in here, because that's when we notice there's a little bit of a lull in the, during the workday. We'll get some people at lunch, but before that and after that, kind of our time when we need to get bodies in here, because typically the only way we're getting that is through Oasis or just your casual. So those are times feel that we could grow and not affect, the other busy times. So
Is that
again,
normal? Can I ask a question though? Is that normal? Because I mean, isn't that what?
That's a
most
trend in most
community
places.
Centers.
yeah, it kind of, from being at other facilities, if you're not attached to a high school or don't have a school close by where you can't kind of bring in school age kids during the day before, it is tough. But yeah, there's typically a lull and it's a lot of senior programming throughout the day or lunch break. So those are
Yeah.
kind of what you get. But we're trying to reach and get more of that corporate, because I do not like walking out of the office and seeing just kind of a slow day in the gym. So we're trying to find ways to make it busier. Because we got staff.
What's interesting is Miriam School's been bringing their PE classes in and they pay for each child to come in and they'll come in for an hour and their older high school kids love the indoor playground. So they play in there too, which is really nice. And then their teachers come and they do cardio on the machines. And
When you say that one of their children, the Miriam School, people need, is a school with people with, special. needs.
Yeah, especially needs.
So that's right. so that
Developmental
playground-
delay or.
Developmental delay, but because otherwise the playground wouldn't be age appropriate.
Well, adults play on there with their kids. Yeah, I mean, high school kids are
She
typically.
broke her tailbone.
Yeah.
Well, but now
Well,
they
we
have
have
a
a-
pad.
Yeah, we have to do that. But
I do that
high
in
school,
Taylor.
high school kids don't want to play in there, but the Miriam kids love playing in there. So it's really nice. And they're incredibly polite and very well behaved. And they also have a volunteer program that they do through the school. So we have one student already that's come in and volunteered with us, and that's been really nice. And that's a supervised volunteer program.
The playground's fine, just watch your tailbone when you come out. I'm not going.
So, again, the people that are buying memberships here, a lot of them still tend to be residents. That's our biggest, group is residents, and then non-residents will, kind of grown a little bit as well, which is, it's fine. I mean, we have the capacity to, incorporate them. Our Renew Active has also grown as well. We went up by about 21, Renew Active members. So they're kind of growing just a little exponentially, but not at an area where we're, which we kind of expected it to be. So So some of our upcoming promotions that we have planned for our spring and summer activity guide, which we're kind of still adding a lot of stuff to this, with it being a relatively long activity guide. We've got a lot of stuff that we're trying to get in there, with as far as youth, adult, fitness and art, cooking, playground and indoor and outdoor stuff. So it is a test of our.
Yeah.
But we have got our first draft done, so we've been.
This one's going to be mailed to every
So
household.
are you looking at doing quarterly or?
We'd like to do
Right,
quarterly.
right.
Right now, it's been too hard to do quarterly. We did the winter one.
Right.
And that one we did only electronically and we got good exposure, but it didn't hit every household. So this one we want to mail to every household. But it is, we have brand new staff for the most part and no one's really done high volume activity guided. And we're planning all new classes. It's not that we had a whole bunch of classes that are just ongoing and just, so it is. They're working hard to get new instructors coming in all the time. And then you don't want to hold up the guide, but, oh, we got a new guide, but you can't go in the guide. So we'll have to keep doing updates.
So some of our promotions, in addition to that, we have an art gallery opening, that'll be coming up, at the end of the next month. And then our fitness expo, which I talked about earlier as well.
Back to the guide. I know that we're gonna have a print and you send that out. But one thing that I've noticed is that there's a lot of programs that you're adding as you go. Do you add those to the guide as you go, or how do they go online to see that?
Well, a lot of them we push out through social media and through constant contact. So that's why we're really pushing that, because that we can do of the minute. It is not waiting for the brochure production timeline. So like this Hamantash class pretty much was all through social media. We had the initial one was in our winter guide, but that was only, that was an online electronic publication, but we have 8,000 people in our constant contact. And most of them are residents, we push that out, but we know there's segments of Olivet that still haven't been here because they come in and they say, wow, I haven't been in here before, so we hear that on a regular basis, so I think having that tangible guide is really important. But we also know the minute we send it out, it's stale because we are adding so many new things.
But what I see online is I see one where you can flip the page and you can.
That's our winter one.
What,
yes.
so you do that. Do you update that as?
That
was my.
we don't know. We update it when we correct things or when a time changes, but we haven't done that for a while, so.
Yeah, because if we did go in there and try to update that, I mean, it would mess with the layout of a lot
Okay,
more.
okay.
So the one good thing that we could do is, we could post anything that is canceled,
Mhm.
things like that. We could also, add a QR code to the new one too. So there, we have some options there, but
Yeah, it's just, if you hear something coming up,
yeah.
Mhm.
then to be able
Right.
to go online and say, okay, here's where it is, or you can
Right,
sign up for
right.
that, that's.
And we're
what
really,
can become a challenge.
yeah, and as our instructor roster gets more stable and we aren't adding all the time, it'll be much easier to get back on that quarterly production. And so our plan is to do quarterly guides, 2 of which are electronic only, 2 of which are electronic and mail. So this one that we're mailing will also be electronic. So what we are noticing too is like I got my recent class schedule from the Botanical Garden. They sent a postcard. They sent a really nice postcard with a QR code instead of doing the whole brochure. Because the postage is excruciatingly high now, much higher than it's ever been before. So it used to be that the printing was expensive and you would mail it out bulk mail. Now bulk mail is very unreliable now, and it now costs more on postage than it does to print the guide. So that's a big change for us.
Rentals have also picked up at Five Oaks, and that is across the board. We had almost doubled our multi-purpose room rentals, and that could be anywhere from 1 room to 2 room to all 3 rooms. And playground rentals, which that means it's included in the party that may be in here and in there, and some just standalone playground
This is
rentals.
just in the last month?
Mhm.
Wow.
This is, so it.
We had
We've done-
2 baby showers on Saturday, back to back in here. And they were beautiful, absolutely beautiful. If you have time, Pat has a reel, you can see that the baby shower did a beautiful reel. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and even the kitchen rentals and gym rentals are picking up. We've had one ARC, which is rented for our basketball league. And they have, I think they went 9 weeks, so they're finishing up, they finished up on Tuesday, so. We're looking for some more gym rentals, mainly in areas that don't affect people who want to come and use the gym as a member. So we're looking for things after hours or during their low usage hours for
We
that.
Well, I
have
know I
a,
had go ahead.
oh, no, you go ahead.
No, I had there's an executive directors group that meets and we were talking about meeting spaces. And they mentioned here several people that they've tried to rent it and it was all booked up, but, so I guess, daytime rentals, are those available?
Yeah.
Because they mentioned like trying to have trivia nights and things like that, and I guess on the weekends or in the evenings, you're
Yeah.
already booked
Yeah,
out.
we're starting to get booked.
How far out?
Year,
The year.
Wow, nice.
Well,
a
we have
year at the
the
longest.
big events. So like
Yeah.
people that are doing big bat mitzvahs or bar mitzvahs, those are rented out a year in advance. The baby showers and those come in much more of short of a time.
It's a much smaller rental.
Well, no, some of the baby showers have taken all 3 rooms.
Have they?
Yeah, yeah, they're big.
It's an event now, it's not
Oh,
like,
yeah.
it's not like back in the day.
Easily.
Get some
you can
tuna.
actually-
But, yeah, they bring in like.
It looked like this, the one on Saturday that we have it looked like a wedding. It was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. And the family was so happy with the space. So,
I can imagine.
yeah, it was really good. But we do have, Friday nights are typically, we do our events on Friday nights too, because we don't have a lot of rental requests for Friday nights. So that's because we want to make sure that we have our events as well as the rentals, but the rentals are so great for revenue to offset the operating costs.
Yeah,
And
with
most of our renters are residents, right?
Yep, and with us closing at 6 on Saturday and Sunday, that makes it a little more inviting to have sorry, 5.
An event.
But that has the, makes it a little more appealing because the whole building's shut down, so you don't have to like come in and, you have the whole building to yourself when you rent after hours too, so makes it a little more appealing to people.
As you're talking about rooms, one of the things that I don't think that we talked about is that the city council approved the removal of waivers for rental,
What waivers were you?
fee waivers.
We did talk about that. That was, it's in the report in there, but this group weighed in
Oh,
on that.
no, we talked
Yeah.
about it last
Yeah, you
month.
recommended the policy.
Our recommendation was taken by the council and they took our advice.
And it was approved.
We have noticed a couple other, go ahead, show that, because then I'll talk about the lines.
Yeah, so I'm just got a couple of,
Before you switch, just got a question related to rentals. We talked a while ago about the change in fees, in regular guidelines for, free use.
That's what we were talking about. So
Okay.
the
That's
council
the one
approved
the
that.
council
The
approved.
council
Okay.
approved that, yes.
Oh,
There is not, there's
No free use.
No for you.
no free use. It's resident or non-resident now.
okay, I was thinking.
We
Never mind.
still have co-sponsored events are still free, so we don't charge all of it in Bloom for the plant sale. So we
Okay.
still have our established partnerships
Mhm.
and we're not charging, so Tremendous is a city sponsored event, so there's no fee for that. But nonprofits can't get free use in here. They can still use the city center.
Okay.
And then the trustee associations can still use here and still use the city center.
But the trustees are limited to how many times?
Yeah, they
Yes.
get
And that feels like
Two
what I was
times a
thinking
year.
about, yeah.
3 times a year,
Yeah.
yeah. But they had nonprofits from outside the area that were
Mhm.
trying to get free use and and that's where the council said, you know what, you need to,
No.
it's tough.
It's a business and, every weekend could be,
We could bring in revenue.
Right.
We've got it, yeah.
So anyway,
Okay,
I
thank you.
didn't,
Yeah,
I did
no, thank
derail
you,
you.
thank you.
So, for those of you that didn't know, I don't know how you didn't know, because this is such a big project for us, we actually had to close down the building for a day because we didn't have any water. This was the water meter vault, replacement of this building. That took place on that green space right past the entrance if you're going Yeah, I am so turned around.
Yeah, that's- and that-
Yeah,
Yeah.
so right out the front
Towards the
entrance. to
ATA.
left. Yeah,
It's our future dog park site. That's where we hope to have dog park.
and this was a big to-do, required a lot of digging, put a vault that they had to fabricate and install, and basically hook us up to a water meter so that we could or see where our usage was in our park, where previously we didn't have a water meter.
So this is a project that we had to self-fund. It's not part of the bond. So when we built this building, we were grandfathered in with the water company, because the water company requires now that your water meter be at the street, so that you can't tap into it and have free water use. Our meter was in the parking lot. So theoretically, we could have put a whole bunch of other water lines flowing off of that before it got to the meter, before we started paying. Now, the long-term management at the water district trusted us, and they said, no problem. You don't have to do this project, because this is over $70,000 of a project, and we did not want to have to do it. However, it took us a long time to build this, and the person that gave us the waiver retired. And the new person coming in said, absolutely not, you must put a new water meter in. So that's why we had to do this. Bruce McGregor ran this project for us. And you can see it's massive. It's absolutely massive. So that's why it's where it is. When you look at that empty field that we have out there, there's still a driveway there. This is the old entrance. When this was a farm, the farm owners came in right by this vault and drove across the field, and then there's an old bridge that goes across the river to Perry, and that's how they came in. That was their driveway. So that vault is still out in the creek, and we do hope that when we put the dog park in, we'll be able to, it's still structurally sound. It's just eroded away on either side of the dirt. So we just replace the dirt, and then we'll have our dog park there. The good news is, because this is there, they did put a tap on it, so we'll be able to have water at the dog park in the future. So that's good news. So we won't have to do another meter. And then we won't have to bore under the creek to get the dog park
So
water.
how was that funded?
The city found the money, and I think it was through, was it ARPA funds? I can't remember now. Might have been ARPA funds.
And the other thing is, once again, Ruth saved the day, because
Totally did.
we were just opening in November, and they wanted us to literally close the building for a week. And we couldn't have a grand opening and then close for a week. So he found someone that would build the vault off-site and move it here in pieces, and we closed for one day, 4 months later. So it really was
Yeah.
huge.
It was huge. It was huge. And Bruce is saving us yet again with is that our next slide? Our next slide.
Yeah, for those of you that have been out and seen the lower Lauderhead Park there, you notice that it's kind of problematic. There's some potholes, some cracks, some unsightly things out there that, we're unable to address when the initial building, within the initial building plans. We now have plans to remedy those, and we hope to do that later this spring if they can get out here and get mobilized in time to do this. This is what it currently looks like. There are some trees that do have to come down with this project, and those are the circles that are
Well, they're
between.
coming down anyway because they're ash trees and they're infected. So these 3 trees will be removed. This is a sugarberry, it stays, and then we have pines here that will also stay. But when these come down, we will plant more trees in here.
I feel kind of silly asking this question, because I want to have as many people here as possible. But do we need that many parking spots?
We do. We filled the lot.
Okay, I mean, that's good, but it would also be good to have extra
When
green
we
space.
had, the biggest event we've had so far was Hank Davenport's memorial.
Yeah,
We
we
filled
needed
the
a
whole
whole
lot.
Okay,
Yeah.
Well,
absolutely.
and for and when we had the grand opening,
We
people
did.
parked down here
Yeah,
and up at the top.
That's true. The grand opening we filled. And when we do some of the big bat mitzvahs and bar mitzvahs,
Mhm.
it'll be a lot because there'll also be staff that come in to work it as well, and catering staff as well as our building staff. So those are kind of the biggest events that we're having.
Yeah, with only about 30 spots up on this, close to the building. Yeah, it's definitely, when we're open, our staff,
Mhm.
especially full-time staff, all park
Yeah,
down
we all
there.
park down
Makes
below.
sense.
Yeah.
So we try to, make sure to keep all these spots up here open for people to use it. And we also have people who are visiting the park and the trail.
Mhm.
So those spots fill up pretty quickly on a nice day.
What's the
on the up-
status of redoing the other lot?
We'll get to that.
Yep.
Yep. next, coming up next. So this is where it is now, and then this is the new plan. So do you want me to point again?
Yeah, I can do that if you.
Okay, so the new plan, we have a vision item here. Remember in the park master plan, we had the vision item where we didn't know we were gonna put tennis and pickleball, and it kind of floated all around and it still doesn't have a home. So we've asked them when they restructure to leave this bare blank, so that it could potentially be a pickleball outdoor.
Wait, is that up there?
You
Is
flip,
that here?
That's,
it's right there. It's
Right
out
there.
there in the parking
On the
lot.
lower.
Okay.
So can you,
Okay. On the
Pat,
lower.
can you flip back?
That's the building.
Flip back? Okay, so here's where we are.
Okay.
Oh, that's Saber Playground, sorry, we're right here. Here's the parking lot. This is the old Saints lot. This is that area that they're gonna not be parking. It's going to be just
Open.
dormant and open and future location, because we don't have the money for it. We also don't, we need to prioritize it when we do the master plan check-in. So can you go to the next slide? Okay, so those trees will come out. They're gonna move the traffic down a little bit, because right now, there are, those traffic stalls are roads to nowhere. You can get in, but you can't get out until you go over there. So we wanted the traffic to be able to go through in one way, so it'll still be two-way out here on the driveway. But once you go in here, everyone comes out here. And that,
Nice.
will really improve the circulation. We're eliminating all the parking stalls along here, but if we ever had to expand there, we could, but we really are trying to eliminate the hardscape over there. And also, we have a really big giant lake that forms here, so they're gonna improve that. The drainage will go into the bio retention basin, and then we have 2 storm outlets here, so we're really hoping that, it's gonna flow a lot better in there.
you notice we took a lot of the islands out too. That also afforded us some additional spaces, over the other one. Yeah,
Right.
like you said, it was a road to nowhere.
Yeah, you see, you get stuck in here, you can't get out.
Right.
Staff parks there, and I still, even though I go in there every day, I still like, oh yeah, I forgot I gotta go this way to get out of here.
Yeah, and when really big trucks come in, or buses, they have a really hard way through here.
And that retention basin was built as part of Prop C, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, it's built, it's complete, and it's working really well. The other thing is by eliminating those islands, which I really didn't want to lose because I don't want to ever lose green space, but by eliminating the islands, the cost of the project comes down quite a bit because of the way the trucks can and machinery can go in to lay the asphalt. And they're doing a recycle with this, so they're chewing up the old stuff and then laying it down, so it's actually saving us quite a bit of money.
Yeah, it's the reclamation of all the stuff that they're tearing up, then becomes
Yeah.
the base, instead
Right.
of bringing in new gravel.
Yeah, so it's a good sustainability practice, but also it reduces costs. So would anyone like to take, no, you'll know because you just did this. Maybe you want to guess on how much that costs to do this parking lot?
Nope. 250,
Over two,
what is it?
over 250,
Yeah, I would say it's at least 250.
closer to 3.
I was thinking 3 until you
Yeah.
said they were redoing it. and I
We
thought,
we think that there'll be enough, so we're using Burns and Jones, who's a very reputable company, Bruce has had great success with them. They've been wonderful to work with. We think that we've got enough cost savings in this, we'll be able to do part of Warson up above. So with that, we don't have plans from that yet. When we have the plans, we'll bring them in for you to see. But what we're focusing on up there is the front lot and the back lot to where the splash pad is. And then eliminating the drive aisle the way it calls for in the master plan to eliminate that drive aisle. And then widen we have that crumbling barrier that goes through, widening that, so it's 2-way traffic there. And then we probably will not be able to pave down where the park ops is, but that's okay. You know, we've got some paving down there. That can be a future site down there that we'll work on, because we really want to prioritize where the public goes and the residents.
Cause if you do that for your overflow parking coming down to here, it's
Yes.
perfect.
It is perfect, especially for daytime events or events in the summer. In the
Yeah.
winter time, lighting is a problem. Yeah,
Well, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, well, one of the other things too, I wanna mention is the sidewalk, coming from that lower lot, that is one area that we're still kind of discussing on how you're gonna get from that lower lot up to here, because it's, right now, there's just 2 paths that go up and you're in the street, you know, to walk across, so trying to figure that out.
Like for the Hank Davenport event, it was perfect. Park up there, you walk right down,
Yeah,
you know, during the day.
yeah,
And then
So-
you don't get involved in all
yeah,
the
absolutely.
down here.
We'll have to put a crosswalk somewhere on the drive aisle, probably towards the curve out here, but there's such an elevation change, we'll let the engineers figure out where the best place to put that, because it's gonna be a little bit of a struggle, but we need to have some sort of crosswalk.
And what's the schedule on this?
Well, Bruce is hoping that he can take it to council, depending on when the plans come in for Worston, potentially take it to council at the end of April, beginning of May, and have it done. The issue will be they have to close the lot for 3 weeks. So that will be tough on us. And we're trying to coordinate that with.
So don't have to close the whole lot?
The lower lot.
The lower lot, not the upper lot. The upper lot will stay open during the entire.
Turn up there.
And the good thing too, with them closing that lot is they can park where they're tearing up too, so they don't, all that equipment doesn't need to come up here, which
Right.
is nice.
Right, because we didn't want to damage any of our new things.
Mm-hmm.
And what we'll probably do for events and things like that, the police department has said we can park people along the driveway on one side. And that we always also have the overflow where that new vault is, you know, there's a driveway there. And the other thing is we can talk to the industrial park because it's really close. Like you could come right in from parking at those businesses. But it's worth the pain, I think. There's really quickly, there's a couple other things. We've identified a big problem with the sunlight coming in the window at this time of year. So we know in a couple weeks, as the sun moves further north, it'll be okay, but right now with the
It's
sun
blinding.
setting, it is blinding. So for those of you that came in, you may have seen that. So Pat is getting some estimates for tinting and some estimates for blinds. And Pat called it, one of his first tour in here, he said, what are you gonna do about the sun on this window?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
it's down the hallway.
yeah, yeah, it's pretty intense. So I don't know if we even need to temporarily put some fabric or something up there because
Yeah.
it's. I don't know how many days it takes for the sun to get past it. It'd take probably at least a month. What do you think?
There's an app for that.
There probably is an app. I'm sure there is, but I don't know. Yeah.
But yeah, there are a couple local companies that have dealt with and deal with that, so we're gonna see what they say and see what the cost is, and we'll find a aesthetically pleasing, cost-effective way to remedy the problem.
Can we have kids or paint on a sheet up and call it art?
I would hate to invest in lines there. I just think that was part of the way we envisioned it.
Yeah, we've run into it without blinds, I know,
But
but
the beauty of some of the blinds that we have here is you can still see through them, you just don't
Yeah.
get all the UV.
right.
Mhm,
And they disappear when they're closed.
mhm.
So.
They go back up.
Yeah.
Mhm, They go, yeah, you don't see them, so.
But
it'll be okay.
we're also looking at like a tint that can just eliminate
Right.
the harshness too, and that way it wouldn't really look
Right.
any different. You'd
Mhm.
still be able to see outside, you just wouldn't be
You-
blinded by the
You
sunlight.
get the
so.
glare. out of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
But I think that'll honestly be the most cost effective way.
Does that help with heat in the summer as well? There's
Correct,
a lot
yeah.
of sun coming
Yep.
through.
To like tint the windows in your car, yeah.
Right.
it is.
And then we just had some, I don't know, Jim, you need to.
Okay, any other questions on Five Oaks? We've already talked about most of these future agenda items, but the homework for you guys and for me, this month is to think about goals. And what we can do and, do our advice and consent in terms of our advising recommendations. So, and then we've talked about many of the dates. I don't see anything that we haven't talked about at this point, except for maybe we did talk about the Star Party on Friday night. And, are there other questions about dates or any of that? If not, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
Some of it.
Second. All in favor, say aye. We're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What's the next meeting? What?